sufficient formulas in which Parashara Shaktya expresses them. And this is the quotation from the Rig Veda. Quote, "Our fathers broke open the firm and strong places by their words. Yeah, the Angirasas broke open the hill by their cry. They made in us the path to the great heaven. They found the day and swaha and vision and the luminous cows. Chakruhu divu brihato gatum asmi aha swaha vividuhu ketum utsraha." This path, he tells us, is the path which leads to immortality. And this is a very important statement. They who entered into all things that bear right fruit formed a path towards the immortality. Earth stood wide for them by the greatness and by the great ones. The mother Aditi with her sons came or manifested herself for the upholding. I have put down in Sanskrit, Aye Vishwa Swapatnyani Tastuhu Krinvanaso Amritatvaya Gatum Mahana Mahadbihi Prithvi Vitaste Mata Putrehi Aditihi Dhayasevi. Now Sri Aurobindo makes a slight comment on this statement, which is very illuminating. He says, that is to say, the physical being, and this is a very important word, the physical being visited by the greatness of the infinite planes above and by the power of the great Godheads who reign on those planes, breaks its limits, opens out to the lights, and is upheld in its new wideness by the infinite consciousness, Mother Aditi and her sons, the divine powers of the Supreme Deva. And then Sri Aurobindo says, this is the Vedic immortality. Now, I may refer to 2 or 3 words in this statement of Sri Aurobindo. One is that the physical being, this immortality, has something to do with the physical being. Then, second point is that this physical being breaks its limits. This is the second point. The normal limits of the physical being are broken. And third is that when the limits are broken, then it opens out to the lights. The physical being opens out to the lights. And then it is upheld in its new wideness. There is a physical consciousness which is limited. The limits are crossed and are broken. And it opens out to the light and is upheld in its new wideness. It becomes very wide in its consciousness. But by what? By the infinite consciousness. And that infinite consciousness, the Veda says, is the Mother Aditi. And her sons, that is to say, the divine powers of the Supreme Deva, that is Devaihi, that is the gods. Aditi and the gods uphold that new wideness which has now become the nature of the physical being because it has crossed its limits. So this is a cryptic statement of what is Vedic immortality. Now we know that in India we have got moksha, a word which is very well used as the highest aim. We aim at moksha. And the question is whether moksha means this, what is given here. It is for philosophers and seekers of knowledge to make a comment on it, but this is the exact text. The text says it speaks of the physical being, Prithvi Vitasti. That's the important point. In the immortality, the physical being becomes widened. And in the widening of this, a role is played by the gods and by the Supreme Divine Mother, and it is because the body comes to be upheld in its wideness that the state of immortality is achieved. Now there are many speculations one can have, and one can dispute one meaning or the other, and I do not normally like disputes. I like to see the exact text and to try to see what the text itself says, and nothing more, nothing less. And the rest, if you do, we should say these are speculations, these are our interpretations, and they may be quite interesting, may be very illuminating, and we should do it. But these disputations have a limit, and we should not take one position against the other. When we examine the question of moksha, as it is described in various systems of yoga and various philosophical systems in India, I do not find that they refer to physical being. I do not find that they refer to the wideness attained by the physical being. And that is why I say there is a difference between what is said here and what is normally spoken of in the texts regarding moksha. And that is why, did the Veda aim at moksha or aim at something different or higher or something quite different? Now this is a study which I have been doing for quite some time, and in Sri Aurobindo also I have made a study, particularly in the Life Divine, because there also there is one full chapter he has given in the Life Divine to rebirth, soul, karma and immortality. This is the title of the chapter. Rebirth, soul, karma and immortality. So it is certainly connected with this question of the soul, immortality, and the whole theory of karma as interpreted by Sri Aurobindo. And of course this theory of karma as put forward by Sri Aurobindo is not the kind of theory which we normally come across in our popular understanding of karma theory. Now when you study this, Sri Aurobindo speaks of essential immortality and consequential immortality. Essential immortality, according to Sri Aurobindo, is the realization of the supreme Satchidananda. It is the knowledge of infinite and eternal being, which is immortal because in its very nature it is eternal and infinite. And when one realizes by identity with that, then one is immortal. Sri Aurobindo maintains that is essential immortality. If you do not know that immortality, then consequential immortalities are not possible. But the consequential immortalities are three: the mental immortality, vital immortality, and physical immortality. And there is also a fifth immortality, and that is the immortality of the soul as distinguished from the immortality of the infinite and eternal reality. So let me explain this concept as I find in Sri Aurobindo. There is in us, according to Sri Aurobindo, a soul. Now, according to several theories, like Buddhism does not admit the existence of a soul. It admits only a conglomeration of karma, which is formed by continuous development, momentarily developing, but creating a sense of continuity, and therefore felt as something that is continually present. The same thing, but according to the Buddhism, there is not same thing. In the Advaita Vedanta, there is a belief in Jiva, but this Jiva is nothing but the Brahman itself, which is seen by avidya as Jiva. But just as avidya is illusion, so similarly the Jiva also is an illusion. Therefore, what is real is only the Brahman. And when this Brahman is realized, by whom, that is a question mark. But when this Brahman is realized, that state of realization of Brahman may be regarded as state of immortality, state of moksha. In the philosophy of Jainism, there is a recognition of the soul, this that which is conscious, a being which is conscious, but a conscious being which is caught in the chain of karma, and these karmas on this earth as we live by have to be exhausted, have to be worked out, have to be destroyed. And when they are destroyed, then one attains to a state of consciousness, pure consciousness. And since the soul is always immortal, it is eternal, that immortality is realized, and now it is free from all limitations of karma. It is free and it is immortal. In some other philosophies where soul is recognized as an entity, like in Dvaita philosophy or Vishishtadvaita philosophy, in many systems of Bhakti Yoga, the soul as an entity which can have relationship with the Supreme is recognized. And This soul is, however, according to these philosophies, is at present engulfed by the ajnana, some avidya, ignorance, and therefore it is bound. And when one is able to throw away this ajnana and one becomes aware of its